All right. So, welcome to the last video in this series where we're going to be talking about the features on the essay exam. So, just like other times, we're going to log in to WebTest and you can do your media test. So, if I click on proceed, I will test my microphone by saying my name. And when I say my name, that's recorded here. When I play the recording, exactly. So you would hear whatever you said out loud, and then it asks you if you could hear your name clearly. If you can, you check this box, and then you test for audio. So you hear a beep, and if you heard the beep, you agree that you actually heard the beep, and then the next thing you do is click on proceed. In the case where maybe you only have an essay exam to take, or maybe you have only one paper, this box will still be empty. So you see a button here saying take photo, and then you'd be able to, take your passport picture. So if you also want to make complaints, there's a button here. So you can always come back here and make your complaints um, that you may have experienced during taking the exam. So the next thing we're going to do is to take the essay question. So you click on start, you would see the organization instructions, and you would also see your exam instructions here. And then you would click that you agree that you have read and you understand the instructions, and you would click on start exam. Please stay still so that your face can be captured, and you should be able to start. All right, now we're into the essay environment. Let me show you the features that are obtainable here. So you see your question, right? And depending on what the examiner sets for you, and then you'll be able to type in your answer here. So we're more concerned about the answer section. So just like in all the other exams, you're going to see your calculator, your toggle calculator button where you could put in mathematical instructions, simple mathematical instructions, and you could get an answer. You also be able to see the exam instructions right here, right? And then you would also be able to see um, the organization instructions and your exam instructions, and then you'll be also able to see the frame where your live video feed is being captured, and the passport that you must have taken. Then you can also reduce the font size of the text, right? And then you can also increase it where necessary. So you're going to see your timer. All right, so we also have this question palette where you can also be able to navigate questions. So you could see um, different questions. You can also select them. You have the previous button and the next button, where with the next button you can go to the next question, and with the previous button you can also see previous questions. Now in some cases, you're going to be required to answer some questions, and not all questions. So, depending on what the instruction is for an examination, um, you might be asked to answer maybe two questions out of three, as we would see in this case. So, what would then happen is that when you try to answer the first question, you'll be allowed, or when you try to answer one question, it doesn't have to be the first question. So probably you go through the three questions and decide which one you want to answer, and then you come to the second one also, and then you could also write that in to say, okay, I'm answering this question also. When you come to the third one, it says here marks question answered, see exam instructions. So this exam was set up to have two questions permissible to be answered for this exam. Now it shows that the third one you won't be able to answer it. Now, what if I want to answer question 2 and 3? All you need to do is come to question 1 that you do not want to answer, and then you clear the answer. So when it asks you, are you sure? Right? And you say yes, and then it clears that. So when it clears that answer, automatically question 3 is now available for you to answer. So you can put in, an answer there, and it shows you just as you're about to type that, it's allowing you to type. But in the case where it wasn't um open for you to answer, you won't even be able to type in an answer. So you can see there that we have that question number 3 as answered. So moving on to other features that you would find in the text box, we have the undo button, and we have the redo button. So let's work with question number 2. So say for example I typed in answer, sorry, enter 2, and then I click on undo. You can see that the 2 is gone, and then if I click on redo, you can see that it's there. So I can also make the text bold. I can, so make sure you highlight it before you try to make it bold. I can italicize it, I can underline it, I can strike it over, and you see all that being represented in that text. So to turn off a feature, all you need to do is, highlight it, and then, click on it, just like you had that feature come on. So another thing you can also do is to insert a text, a link. This is the link button if you wanted to insert a link, and then, you could also insert a picture. So when you click on that, you can select any picture of your choice and, insert that. Also, you can also put in a number, you can put in a bullet point, or you can also put in a checkbox, depending on what you want to do. Another thing that we have is the subscript and the superscript feature. So if I wanted to type just these two, and then I wanted to put in a subscript, when I click on the subscript feature, you can see that the cursor has been reduced to the size of a subscript. So same applies. So to turn that off, I just click on that, and you can see that the cursor is back to the normal size. And then if I wanted to type in a superscript, I'll just click on that, and then I can type in a superscript. Yeah, so to turn that off, I click on it again, and you can see that the cursor size is back to normal. Another feature that we have here is the alignment text. So you could align your text to, to the center, to the left, to the right, and yeah, you could have that. So let's try and practice that. So if I wanted it to be aligned to the right, you can see that that happens, and if I wanted it back to the left, you can see that. You can also change the color of the font, so we have that also. All right, so apart from changing of the color of the font, you could also change the background color, and then we also have the feature to enable you to insert tables. So to insert tables, you just need to, select here by hovering over it the size of table you want. So if you want to have a two two column, one row table, we have that. So when you click on that, that would show up here. And then when you click on the table in the text box, you have all these features that if you hover over them, it shows you what they represent, and you can make use of that. Also, if you didn't want the table feature anymore, all you need to do is just click on backspace, and that is gone. Then we also have this mathematical formula function, where if you click on the mathematical formula function, you would have a box that has this hamburger sign. So say for example I want to write 2 times absolute value of 23. So if I say I wanted to do 2 times absolute value of 23, I would come here. This is already 2, and then I would go to my insert. So if you could, when you click on this menu button, sorry, when you click on this menu button, you have the insert matrix where you can insert the matrix. You have the insert button where you can also insert, formulas. So I wanted to do absolute value. So you can see this is 2 of the absolute value of 23, and that's it, right? So you can also click out of that button. So this has been put in as part of your answer, and if you don't want that formula box anymore, all you need to do is just click on backspace and everything disappears. So we also have this clear answer button that I have showed you the main reason why it is there, which is to clear answer so that you can answer another question. But if just to reiterate, you can, so clearing and using the clear answer button clears out every single text that you must have put in your text box. So it asks you, are you sure that you want to do this? So you click on yes, it clears out every answer that you have in that text box. So when you're done with the exam, you go to the final question and you'll be able to see this finish last submit button. When you click on the finish last submit button, you'll be able to submit. And that thing that I did mention earlier is that you can also flag questions. So you can flag a question to say, oh, I want to come back to this question later. So with an essay exam, it is also very important for you to note what the instruction says. Does it say answer all questions? Does it say number one is compulsory and number two and three, and then you can answer any other question alongside number one. So it's very important to know that, and you can always come back to see your exam questions right here, right? Exam instructions, sorry, right here. Yes, this brings us to the end of this video. So to end your essay exam, all you click is finish and submit. And to ask you, are you sure you want to submit? You say yes if you wanted to submit the exam. This means that it will actually end the exam, and then you say yes. You rate your experience, and you can always go ahead to end the exam. So if I click start a new exam, I can see that I have finished writing all the papers that are scheduled for me for this exam. This brings us to the end of the videos explaining the web test features. I hope that with these videos you'll be able to use web test better and have a more favorable experience when you use the platform. Bye for now.